Did you know that buying and remodeling might be a better option and investment compared to buying land and building a new home? Well, in this video, I want to give you all the information you need before planning your future move. My name is Aguinaga, your Montreal real estate expert. I've been a certified real estate broker in Montreal since I was 18 years old, and no matter what is going on in the market, there is a question that always or consistently comes back. LJ, is it better to buy a house or build my dream home? I want to talk about this topic in depth. So before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out in the comments or schedule a call directly with me. You can find all my information in the description down below. Let's get started. Let's start by discussing a market overview. In Montreal, it can be tough to find land to build on. We are on an island, which means that we have limited land. This alone makes it more difficult to find lots that you're able to build on. For those of you who are thinking, no problem, I'll just buy an existing property and tear it down, hold on a sec. Our city is rich in history, and as such, getting demolition permits is quite difficult. When I recently went through the process, along with several other reports, the most surprising one to me was that we had to hire a historian to prepare a study of the property in order to ensure that nobody noteworthy had ever lived in the property. Like with most things in our province, there's a lot of red tape, so make sure you understand all of this before proceeding with a demolition or purchasing land option. In this video, I'll break down and compare the pros and cons of buying an existing home versus building a new one in the greater Montreal area. This topic is important because time and time again, I have clients reach out with this question. It's clearly a subject of several conversations, so I'm happy to discuss it in depth. Currently, although statistically we're in a seller's market, the feeling in the industry is that the market is quite balanced. Good properties are moving quickly, and less attractive properties are sitting on the market. In general, buyers can negotiate a few percentage points off of the asking price and get a solid deal. With interest rates trending downwards, we're expecting prices to start ticking upwards at a faster rate. We also have a large influx of immigration and slower than usual new construction. This is going to continue to shift the market further into a seller's market. The only indicator that may slow down growth is unemployment, which has been ticking upwards and was at 6.2% through Q2 2024. Let's dive in. Here are the pros of buying an existing home. Well, you have immediate availability, which means that you can move in right after closing. You're probably going to be in an established neighborhood with mature landscaping and amenities. You might get some historical charm and character that might be hard to replicate. There's the potential for negotiating the price, and there's less hassle and time compared to building a new home. Now let's look at some of the disadvantages of purchasing an existing property. For starters, you have the potential for hidden repair and renovation costs. You never know exactly what you're getting yourself into. There may be some hidden things to deal with, so there's that. You may not have modern features or energy efficient technologies. If this is important to you, you're gonna have to invest in order to make this happen. There's gonna be some limited customization options without obviously gutting it and starting again from zero, so you wanna take that into account. There's a possible need for updates to fit your personal tastes and needs, which we can avoid obviously with the other option. So let's dive right in. What are the pros of building a new home? Well, you have complete customization. You get to choose your layout, your finishes, your features, everything, you name it, you got it. Newer construction means less maintenance issues, we hope. We can't guarantee, but generally speaking, a brand new property should have less maintenance issues because you have a brand new foundation, roof, windows, doors, structure, you name it. It's going to come with modern amenities and energy efficient designs. We're talking about windows, insulation, etc. There's the potential for building in up and coming neighborhoods. So you might get to benefit from some of the appreciation that will be coming from the neighborhood over the next couple of years. You're probably going to have warranty coverage on the new home from either the developer or directly from the contractors that you've worked with. If we focus now on some of the disadvantages, well, the biggest disadvantage is the longer timeline. It could take months to a year or possibly longer to complete. We never really know because you have to deal with the permitting department. You then have to deal with construction delays. And during the pandemic, things got slowed down by an extra year. So you really have to be prepared for a longer period of time than what you expect. There's potential for unexpected costs and delays. Well, we just spoke about the delays, but costs, again, there's always gonna be surprises along the way. There's gonna be things that you weren't prepared for necessarily. No matter how much you try to prepare, if it is your first time building, I promise you there's gonna be a couple surprises. So try to leave a buffer for that in your budget. Like with all new constructions or any renovation projects, if you've experienced it, there's gonna be stress and there's gonna be a lot of effort involved in the building process. You're gonna be there to verify the work. You're gonna be checking up on the design. You're gonna be meeting with lots of different professionals to make this happen. So it's gonna be a dream come true at the end, but there's gonna be a lot of work that's gonna go into it in the interim. You're probably going to be building in a less established neighborhood because the more established ones just don't have lots available for purchase. And you might have less infrastructures initially. That might mean less parks, less sewage, direct water, stuff of that nature. So you want to keep that take that into account, pardon me. There's the possibility for higher costs compared to building an existing home. Again, we've hammered down on this a couple of times, but you don't know all the costs going into this, so it's something you really want to try and buffer into your budget. Now, let's look at the cost comparison when you are buying an existing property versus building new. Buying existing will generally be less costly than building new. There's also significant differences in the mortgage options. Let's break them down. When building, there's no financing option available for the purchase of the lot, and there are higher borrowing costs for the construction, which means you're going to need more cash on hand to make this happen. When buying an existing property, you can put as little as 5% down, depending on the purchase price and the property type. So obviously you have a lot more financing available to you when you're purchasing an existing property. And this is because the bank actually has an asset that they're guaranteeing. They have the land, they have the building, and therefore they feel a lot more comfortable guaranteeing this. When you're buying a lot, it's much tougher to sell a lot, and therefore they don't have as good of a guarantee on that. And then on the actual building process, well, they're only going to want to finance what's actually been done so far. And because it's on a construction loan, there's going to be higher interest rates and more fees and penalties set up into this. When building, like I said, there's always hidden costs. I'm currently building a 9-unit property and I've continuously been hit with hidden fees. Just yesterday, we were sent a quote for building insurance, which we assumed was included in our regular insurance policy or even our builder's policy. Everywhere you turn, there are new fees and expenses. When buying an existing property, the costs are usually pretty standard. There may be some additional maintenance costs, but the purchasing process is usually pretty predictable from a cost perspective. Now, let's look at some location considerations. There aren't a ton of available lots of land in the Greater Montreal area, especially not in the most desirable and established neighborhoods. If location is important to you, I suggest you look for an existing property. It will also likely benefit from proximity to schools, work, public transport, and amenities. Next, let's look at the time considerations. Again, we touched on this briefly before, but the timeline to purchase an existing home is about 45 to 120 days, versus building a new home could easily be 1 to 2 years. And don't forget to consider the permitting process, which could take a year on its own. If timing is very important for you, I do not suggest building new. Just go with an existing property. It'll be a smoother process. Now let's look at some of the market trends and predictions. As the market starts to heat up, if we do start to see a shift similar to the one we saw in 2021, I know several buyers will be tempted to look for a lot and build in order to avoid the bidding wars they've been dealing with. In the current market, I don't think there will be too much demand for lots to be built on, given the fact that the cost of funds is very high at this time and the availability of existing properties is abundant right now. Like with any city that has a limited amount of land available, I foresee pricing on the island to continue to grow as immigration continues to increase and there are not enough properties being built to absorb the demand. I hope you've enjoyed my take on building versus buying. What's best for you? Don't forget to evaluate your individual needs, preferences, and long-term goals before making this decision. Now that you have the inside scoop, are you going to build new or buy an existing property? If you've learned anything from this video, please give this video a like. Looking forward to seeing you next time.